Movement Conversations, a podcast powered by New Generations. I'm Roy Morand, your host for Season 2, and I'm excited about what we've got lined up for you this season. If those of you who are not familiar with New Generations want to go to newgenerations.org, you can find out more about us. We're in about 55 different countries with over 900 engagements, focusing on about 150 plus movements at the moment. So love to have you learn more about us. I would also love to have you subscribe to this podcast so you'll get alerted every time we drop a new episode, as well as to share it with your friends. Let them know what's going on and get a few more people in our conversation. Hey, that's enough about the intro. Let's get into our guest for today. Well, I'd like to welcome today to the Movements Conversation podcast, my good friend Ivan, who we know each other in a number of different ways. I first met him, how many years ago was that? Back in Orlando,
Probably.
the first time we met.
Yeah. Maybe even before that, but
Okay,
maybe close to 10 years.
10 years.
So,
Okay, so we have a long history, and I have a deep respect for all the facets of involvement that Ivan has. But today we're going to talk about two that really sort of bring to light some synergy between some things that were strong in his life, and God has been using them. So, Ivan, welcome to the Movements Podcast.
thank you. I love any conversation where there's movement, word, and discipleship. So I guess I'm in the right place.
Uh, so, bring us up to date a little bit on who you are, what God has brought you through, how you got involved in this whole world of disciple making movements and stuff, and then we'll jump into the whole total fit conversation.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and grew up in a nice neighborhood of Stan countries, Central Asia. But because it was during the Soviet Union time, my parents didn't know God and never had a spiritual conversation in the house. I grew up in a very nice family, was very active, and to help me with my energy, my parents put me into USSR gymnastic program where I would train 6 days a week, twice a day, and still come back home full of energy. But by the time I was 12, um, I start feeling some disconnect inside. Physically strong and active. There is organized and program for my development, but there's something missing inside. And I didn't know where to look this for and who has the answers until my sister gave me the piece of Bible, which was the Gospel of Luke. She got it from someone else and she passed it to me. And as I was reading through the pages, I realized there is a kingdom of God and I want to be part of that. So without ever attending a church or hearing the gospel presentation, I made a decision to follow Jesus. And by God's grace, all my family is saved. And years through, I was asking, Lord, how do we bring your kingdom on earth as it is in heaven? And the Lord gave a very simple idea. You love Bible because it was transformational in your life. You love sport because it's relational. Why don't you put this together in the form of 6-day camp and see what happens? Now, because we were in one of the most unique places in the world, 7 on the list, we didn't know if there is anyone else outside our country is doing that. So I thought we're the only one who came up with this brilliant idea. First camp, 35 people who never had a spiritual conversation in their life came to attend. 21 came to know Lord Jesus. Without having any formal training, we start discipling them by meeting in homes. And next summer, they said, we want to do the same for our friends. We gave them 2 pages of our curriculum, which was 4 hours of reading Bible, 4 hours of doing sport, and the rest is free time. And they did it for 600, and over 400 of them came to know Christ, and that's how we started our first church. And then over the years, the Lord used Bible and sport to plant many churches. But when we start expanding this work in Ukraine around European Soccer Championship 2012, it was more focused on events and projects, and we felt like we're hitting some ceiling and start asking questions about how do we scale this up? How do we multiply? How do we make that sustainable? That's where I met guys from New Generation team, Harry Brown, Dave Hunch, Donkey Johnson, and others. And we found some of the answers on those questions and got connected to the disciple-making movements around the world. So that's a short history of I and my partners and teammates become part of that conversation.
Yeah. Wow. And that has expanded today. I know you've been at the forefront of even the international sports movements. So your organization is involved in worldwide. I think in that situation, just that small thing just has continued to expand, broadly in that regard. So it's amazing. So help me with the fitness thing or the sport thing, sort of fixated a little bit in a lot more specific when you guys began thinking about utilizing that specifically, because there's so much going on in our world today with the idea of becoming fit, getting fit, and and meshing that with your disciple making activities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you don't need to be a scientist to recognize that 80% of world population connects to sport in one way or another. Whether you like to watch it or wear sportswear or be physically active, 80% of the world's population connects with sports. Now, there are others who are more identifying them in the world of sport. And if we look into Matthew 28 and Jesus' commandment to go to all nations, we can look into sports people as a separate nation with their own language, culture, places of dwellings, rituals, traditions, and so on. Now, it's less than 2% of sports people are followers of Jesus. So we can look into this as one of the unreached people groups. Mm-hmm. But for us to understand the world of sport, we need to look into this world as 6 tribes. There is one tribe that is a very competitive sport. People who place all their identity and schedule into sports. Recreational sports, once in a while, amateur league, sports events. Health and fitness is a 3rd tribe of sports. Extreme sports like surfing, skateboarding, mountain biking is a 4th tribe. Esports, a growing segment, is a 5th tribe, and all ability sports where people with physical or intellectual challenges but participating in sports itself. So those are the 6 tribes that you can go and associate yourself or be very intentional, engaging and bringing Jesus into this conversation. But today, just for the sake of our time, I want to zoom into health and fitness tribe or fitness specific. Now, we see that today world suffers from a massive health deficit. You know that 70% of health issues can be prevented. 90% of sickness comes from stress. Studies also shows that 20% of physical and some health issues also related to spiritual neurosis. So now all of that brings us to the point where UN recently published that number 1 global health crisis is inactivity. 87% of a young population doesn't meet a minimum requirement for physical activity, which is 30 minutes a day, walking or biking or running, anything. 87%. So today we live in a world that suffers the massive health deficit. So what do we do about this as church? Ephesians chapter 1 teaches us that church is there to fill the gaps. We are the solution to the world. However, the other study shows that Christianity is the most overweight religion in the world compared to other major religions. So we're not giving a good example to the world on health. However, we have the best book on fitness, which is Bible. And if we go deeply, we see Bible teaches us how to sleep, how to eat, how to exercise, how to breathe, how to meditate, and all those new features that fit tech or wellness industry brings to the table. All those features were written way back in the book of the Bible. That's why there is one particular fitness system that I love. It's Total Fit. You can see the brand mark on my t-shirts, and it says that it was established like 3000 BC. Why? Because Genesis 1 is the idea of optimal health. Yeah. And just recently that idea was rebranded by the name of Total Fit. But God put us in the Garden of Eden to exercise by doing some physical work, taking care of the garden, taking care of the animals. He put us in a community to give us a mental health, and he was working with us to address our spiritual well-being. So that's why we need to look into health from the optimal health perspective when we train body, mind, and spirit all together. And this is what people need today. This is what people are ready to pay for. Why not us? Why we can bring that solution to our neighbors, to our cities, and to the world in general. So that's what I think is the greatest opportunity for the body of Christ today to step in.
So give us some specifics. I mean, how does this cross paths or synergize in a sense of taking the Bible, making disciples, fitness? I mean, where does the rubber meet the road in this regard?
Yeah, if we look into the all movements growth and exponential multiplication, we see that the secret sauce is when you really come to serve the need, whether it's water solution, whether it's a medical solution, or any other things. So we have the great opportunity before people hit the crisis of health and they need to go and see the doctor. We can help them to address the optimal health. So we're providing the real need to people. And when they see the progress, that they start sleeping better, when they see that the energy level went up, when they see that the joints are experience less pain and the muscle mass grows, or they losing the excess of fat, they really see things working. So they become very open to holistic approach. Now we're looking to faith as a muscle, but if we don't strengthen the faith in the life itself first, like, why do I need to be healthy? What's in this life for me? Why do they need faith in general? So first, it's real need. Second, when you think about a Bible discovery time that disconnected from the need, best you may be meeting once a week, maybe twice a month. In the US, you're lucky if you can meet once, like every 5-6 weeks, because of the schedule. But when you do fitness together, now you have opportunity to meet 2, 3, 5 times together. I remember I was running in the neighborhood and I saw one person exercising. So I stopped, I introduced, I asked what he is doing. He asked me, like, what do you do? And I say, I'm doing Total Fit. And one of the reasons why it works for my discipleship is because the new name attracts the new conversation. And he's like, what Total Fit is? And it's a optimal health. It's a journey to optimal health by training body, mind, and spirit in the same workout. And he's like, whoa, that's very interesting. How can I experience that? And I said, let's meet tomorrow and we do this together. So we met, we did the workout, and I asked at the end, when do you want to meet again and do it one more time? He said, let's do it tomorrow. Okay, let's do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow became again tomorrow. And then for 2 months, we've been meeting every single day. So it's an opportunity to have multiple interactions. Now, friends are easily invited, family invited. When we open our garage to serve our neighbors, sometimes even during the rain, we would have 18 people in 2-car garage doing tall fit together. Why? Because it's the opportunity to invite family and friends. So there is many other ways, but I would say that it's a real solution to a real problem. It's multiple times a week. It's easy to invite people to connect with family, friends. Now, on the coach side benefit, it's a legit reasons why you're having the conversation you're having. And the methodology itself provide the outlet to talk more than just workouts and muscles.
Yeah. So take us to the wide picture. I know that this is an idea that has been birthed, but it's expanded rapidly. I mean, I think I just got an email about some training going on it was at Iceland or someplace like that. I mean, this thing has really spread really broad and wide pretty quick.
Yeah. So when this idea on tall fit started growing and developing, it resonated with many other coaches around the world. They start meeting together and co-creating, co-producing the methodology, the programming, and the enthusiasm around that starts spreading. The people start inviting and saying, how can I use this as a gym member? If you're a gym member, what can you do? If I'm a gym owner, what can I do in this? And if I'm fitness trainer, instructor, coach, and this is my full-time job, how can I do that? But if I'm only fitness enthusiast and I want to do it once a week for an hour, and I don't want to make money on that, and I don't want to grow the expertise, I just want a safe place and a meaningful connection with my community. How can I do that? So all of that start building Tall Fit as a product, as a service. And 2017, I think there was about 14 trainings that certified 300 coaches, and 2018, 30, and then for 70 trainings a year. Right now, training is going on in Ghana. Last week it was in Nigeria. A week before, gym was open in Iceland. It's just growing and expanding, and today it's in over than 90 countries around the world.
We'll get back to our guests in just a moment. But for those of you that like to connect with New Generations, newgenerations.org is a great place to go and find out information about things like ending scripture poverty, a very unique and disruptive approach to providing oral scripture to tribes that have never had the Bible in their heart language. Or you can find out about engagement to movement. Maybe you or your church would want to be involved in helping get a unreached people group to a stage in movement where the gospel can be planted and replicated in their world. So if you'd like to find out more about those, please go to newgenerations.org and you can find out about that. If you're in the North American region and you want to connect with our North American branch, you can go to newgenerations.us, find out about the habits training, how to become a multiplying disciple, and how to get involved in a network of people who are establishing teams to eradicate gospel poverty in their area. So thanks so much for listening today. We're going to get right back to our guest. So talk a little bit about the tools that are available, for someone like I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, I'd like to do something like this. Is there an app, a website? How could I access this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad you're asking this now, not 5 years ago, because today we have more tools to suggest than it was years ago. But first, Roy, you and the audience must understand that the world of fitness is very diverse. There are multiple fitness systems, addresses different needs, different styles. And the beauty of the fitness world is that there is no a competition like between denominations. We're better, we're greater. It's what works for you, what resonates with your body, with your style, what really triggers the stimuluses that you want to see. If the walking works for you, you can start a Total Fit walking club. If you like high intensity workouts without weights, go for that. If you're a power lifter and you want to do less but more heavy, that works for you. If you're a Zumba instructor, if you're a CrossFit gym owner, whoever you are, you can put and plug and play like a Lego blocks that into your current system. But also Total Fit has its own methodology with workouts that provides for those who say, I'm open for anything, just guide me, help me. There are three main services that TotalFit has today. One is for champions, for individuals who want to be healthy themselves, want to invite others on this journey, but they don't look into building this as a complex or as a part-time job or anything more serious. You're a volunteer, maybe in the prison work or in a drug rehab center or your local community. So there is online training with 21 modules and 126 lessons that you can go at and find at totalfit.me/courses and take it and go through this. It will help you to understand all three dimensions of human being, physical and 10 fitness indicators that you want to increase in body fitness, 6 in mental fitness, and 8 in spiritual fitness. And then you can also get programming where once a week you will get email drip with the coaching notes for this week. And the workout can be done in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. But body, mind, and spirit training happens at the same workout because workout has a theme that you introduce as a life lesson. During the warm-ups, you ask powerful questions. What are you thankful for? What stress you out the most? Are there any needs that we can address? During the skill training, you talk about accountability. What have you done since our last meeting? Who did you share it with? Then the workout creates experience like a parable to illustrate the theme and connect body, mind, and spirit together. And during the cool down, when you stretch your muscles and bring your heart rate down, coach tells the story or ask someone to read the story. And the story can be just a story that illustrates the kingdom principles or the story from the Bible. And then at the end, you talk about what will you do in the next 24 hours to put this in practice. So all these coaching notes comes in once a week. The second product is for coaches. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to have that as a part of your income or full-time job, you go through the certification course, get coaching certification that is accredited by North American Sports Medicine and American Fitness Association, two very credible accreditation bodies. And you also become a part of cohort where you connect to the playbook of business and learn how to make money through fitness, because that's one of the uniqueness also. People are willing to pay for that, and that can become your full income plus your discipleship work. With 20 people in semi-private classes and 30 in group classes, you can have a full income and not work anywhere. So that's another. And then you receive a programming 3 times a week that you can use for people who come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And the third product is for companies. If you want to open a full facility and run this as enterprise with multiple coaches, there is also help with marketing, with branding, with gym layouts and equipment plan and all those things. So anywhere from champion to coach to company, there are various tools. But if you don't want to do any of that, just go to App Store or Google Play, download Total Fit app, and it will take you on a daily journey where you can exercise, read the stories, uh, live a mindful lifestyle, check on your emotions, and track your healthy habits.
So I'm going to say there's some people out there that are skeptical about how you infuse these biblical narratives into the exercise. Now, I would say I've overcome the skepticism because you submitted me to one of these workouts when we were recently together, and I remembered it for about a week after that because I had a couple of muscle sets that had not been exercised like that. It exposed some weakness in my own workout program that I had to readdress. But maybe describe how that works. I mean, what does that look like when we get together and how I know it was the Ten Commandments that you used at that recent time we were together.
Yeah, we train Total Fit coaches to be the best storytellers because your fitness comes from your attitude. Your attitude comes from your beliefs. Your beliefs are powered by your faith. Now, we want quickly change behaviors. Eat less fast food, drink less sugar drinks, exercise more. But to change behaviors, you need to change attitude. You need to change your beliefs, your faith. And that's why storytelling become a best exercise that strengthen your spiritual muscle. And the spiritual muscle then impacts your mental and physical. That's why storytelling is so powerful. Now, when you just sit and tell stories, it's one way of communicating. Most likely people don't remember them. But if story is wrapped in the experience, like what we learned from Asian tribes when I was in Ethiopia, learning that there's a whole ceremony around coffee. And as they doing this ceremony, they telling the stories. Now the experience and the stories connect together. This is how we work. This is what Jesus did. He was not sitting in the classroom telling the bullet points lessons. He was taking people on experience, walking with them through the fields, telling the stories, taking them on the boat, telling the stories, sitting on the field, taking the stories. And he would take the experiences that people were familiar with, shepherding the sheep, vineyards, weddings, and explain unknown kingdom principles. And that's what worked out for us because health and fitness is I would say, one of the most powerful engagement tools in urban environments, in cities, where people struggle for space, for time, for schedules. Now they need to go to Discovery Bible Study Group and meet in the fitness. Why don't do this together? So when you create a fitness experience and the workout designed to connect with the story, that's when the insight happens. People remember this more. People connect more to that. People can apply this in a more effective way. So again, nothing new. You're just going back to the best book on fitness and putting this in a 21st century methodology.
Yeah. So I know Total Fit is addressing something, and for those of us who have existed in this movement world for quite some time, understand that earning an income as disciple making begins to become successful and multiplication happens and generations happen, more and more time is needed to coach and train and support that. And so if I'm working a regular job and I'm doing that, there starts to be a collision between the two. You guys are kind of meshing this idea of being able to make a living while doing, fitness, but doing disciple making as well. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I will start probably from young generation and move to those who already have established jobs. Uh, Today, when young people want to be on a mission, they don't want to go and build buildings that host orphans or paint schools where kids get education. They want to do something meaningful, something that also connects with them. And fitness, one of them. And today, through fitness, you can make a pretty significant income. It's just the matter of how you structure that. But you can make it through individual sessions, semi-private session, group classes, sell merchandise, partnering with others like supply providers and so on, and then empowering others and getting your percentage in this. So you can build a sustainable income through that. And that's really needed. How many people are talking about mental health today?
Mhm.
And there is a research was done recently through a Mind Body Wellness Index, and they reported that number one reason why people go for fitness is mental health. Number two, physical, and number three, spiritual. Now, when they talk about spiritual side, they talk about human side of spirit that everyone possesses, no matter what religion you associate yourself with. The human side that distinct us from animals, the human side of spirit. And because of that, that's a wonderful opportunity for young people to choose this as a career for optimal health, general population, or strength and conditioning for athlete specific, or for recovery, physio. So that's a wonderful place to work, create income, but also provide a conversation on optimal health for body, mind, and spirit. For those existing coaches already who are doing something, you probably struggling with the market differentiation and how to position yourself in the crowded fitness industry. This is the solution. When you come up with something that nobody does, because most of them make you to sweat and exercise your muscles, but nobody talks about mental and spiritual health. This is a new value proposition that you can bring that can put you in a way where you can increase your membership prices because you do more, and you can attract more new leads and new potential clients. For those who like not sure if for those who want to select or choose a new career path, as Roy you mentioned, like I need to work here 5 days a week from 8 to 5 to do something that does not introduce me to many people, but it pays my bill. And the only reason why I'm still staying there, not because I find many people of peace and there's multiple groups that becomes churches, but because it pays my bills. But I'm trying to catalyze something over here. Very hard because different people uh, always struggle with the time. Why don't make a transition? As a fitness coach, you can pay your bills, but it puts you in a massive pool of people where you can always interact with new people and looking for those who are spiritually prepared, and they're also willing to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. So that's 2 for 1. That's a big win, and we see this is happening. We see uh, people doing this in the most remote places. Like there's a coach from one island that has a history of 3,000 years. Find all feed through YouTube, contacted and say, "Hey, on my island, we never had a fitness gym. Would you please be open to come and help us to set up?" So it's great opportunity to get to new places, but also set up something sustainable where you don't need to leave for 3 months to the West and go and raise your support and talk to your donors and raise money. But it provides enough Or people in UK, we have opening now a third gym in 2 years because they outgrow and it resonates with people. And now they have 5 people on staff and providing support and salaries, not just for themselves, but also for other people.
Wow. I know one of the issues of disciple making in the West is the idea that we have to go after social networks, and the social networks in the West tend to be very small, and sometimes non-existent. And so sometimes people who understand and get a dream and a vision for multiplicative disciple making don't have anybody they know that they can work with. It's like you talked about on the one side, the work thing. They don't know their workspace that well, or we're just so isolated. Um, do you find, especially at that champion level where you're talking about just, I'm not interested in the financial piece, but I am interested in utilizing this for my own self and for reaching a community and stuff. Do you find anybody using it like that? I mean, just going into, say, immigrant populations that are new, because I find a lot of people trying to engage immigrant populations, and they're trying to do it, sort of with Bible forward type activity, and oftentimes there's a real resistance to that. But fitness is like universal, and especially I know that immigrant community populations that move here, we don't provide them the greatest menu selections for their health. If they start adopting American stuff, I mean, their health can go sideways really quick. So any stories like that people utilizing Total Fit?
Yeah, if you want to explore the lane of champions, and your biggest return on being in the space of fitness is social circles or social connections, that's wonderful. So here in Houston, we have Coach Ty. She went through 12 certifications, and she realized that transition homes in Houston have women who just on a transition from prison or from drug rehab into a new life, but they're not addressed in holistic health. So she went to 6 of those homes.
Wow.
And she offered, saying, why don't I come here once a week for 1 hour, and I provide total fit class for the girls. And of course, all transition homes leaders said, yes, please come. So immediately you have 6 places with 6 groups, and you can serve that. Teenager Nadia, who is 16 years old, familiar with Total Fit concept, went to the local park and start doing this with kids age of 12 to 14. He has a group of 8 to 12 people that comes, and she exercises with them, and she combines fitness and fun games and storytelling all together for this demographic. Another fitness champion went to the sports club, and sports club, like soccer, they focus only on skill training. Yes, they run laps, but they don't do anything physical. So he said, why don't I do this once a week, provide a session for boys on strength and conditioning so they can run faster, jump higher, be tougher on the field, stay strong on their feet. And coach said, yes, please do that, because I teach them skill and the art of game, but I don't teach them strength and condition. That's not my expertise. Like, you can build a massive list, whether it's a local park or senior citizens facility or in offices. Today, corporate world wants to see the employees healthy, because leave an absence of sickness creates a massive income reduction. So going to the offices and saying, hey, here's we have a corporate wellness program for employees to connect together, to build a team spirit, will will do total fit once a week. Now you can find what a company values, history. You can build your themes of workouts and the stories that reflect that. Now you strengthen the corporate culture, building healthy employees, but you increase your social interactions. So we can go through a list, but any social engagement requires a good work. It's not just because you put a fitness t-shirt, you walk in a room, and now you have a massive audience. No, it takes work, but you may have more chance of success through this than through any other ways.
Yeah. So speak to that work a little bit. Let's say I'm sitting here and maybe I'm a bit sedentary. I fit into that, 87% or whatever that you talked about earlier that hasn't really been moving the 35 minutes a day. And I want to adopt this. I want to download this Total Fit app. I want to adopt it and I want to move into some circle where I would go and maybe utilize this to reach them. What would that pathway look like for me?
Yeah. First of all, you can't help others if you don't help yourself. And that's why when we fly on the planes, they always remind us in the situation of emergency, make sure you have the oxygen first before you help others. So your thinking is right. Start yourself first. Don't think like, oh, I'm starting 6 days a week, heavy exercise. No, based on the Bible narrative, you need to be active 6 days a week and fully rested once. But being active, for those who have never did exercise, means 3 times a week you walk, and 3 times a week you do a workout, anything between 15 to 30 minutes. You don't need to spend hours in the gym. Our body is not designed in this way. That's why on TotalFit app you can find workouts that are 8 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes, more equipment, no equipment, just stretching. So start doing this, start adjusting your healthy lifestyle habits, your healthy schedule. You will enjoy that yourself. You will see the change in yourself. That will inspire you to go and talk to others. Next, go to totalfit.me courses. Go through TotalFit foundational course. Go through TotalFit level 1 course. That will give you the right words to communicate and will give you access to weekly programming. Having that, start spreading the message. Pray for a community that you want to start, maybe multiple, to see where it will take. Go visit, invite people to try for one time. 45 minutes, let's do this together, whether it's in your garage and you opening the doors, or it's in a gym where everyone has membership, but you just select the corner and 4 of you do it together. No one is going to say anything. You have access to the facility, or doing somewhere else. Churches could be the best place for fitness. Like, if you don't utilize your church for fitness, I would strongly recommend you. You don't need to put heavy machines and massive equipment. Just create space, and that will set you on the journey where you will know, okay, what's the next step and how you grow and what do you add on. And yeah.
Wow. And all those tools are right there available at is totalfit.me is what you mentioned. Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's my dream. Totalfit.me. So any last words of challenge or encouragement here? I know fitness has been a large part of your life, growing up as a gymnast and that kind of stuff. And I know it still is, a huge part of your life, both personally and vocationally in this moment. But any last challenge you would give, especially to the disciple making community?
Yeah, the challenge is that although I was a gymnast and you think Like, okay, you wake up and first thing in your mind is fitness. We live in a broken world. We live in a world that constantly decline us to somewhere else rather than to trajectory that God established for us. I wake up more with the idea of what can I eat today than what can I do for exercise. So it's still everyday battle, but it's making the right choices. And we are the image of God, and God created us in body, mind, and spirit. So He wants us to display His image not just in the way we think, not in the way we pray, but also in the way we walk, in the way we sit, in the way we full of energy. And it takes time. It takes time to see this multiplication. And we need to think, how do we stay in this game as long as possible, including preventing ourselves from the sickness and disease that we can prevent. Why would we waste our time in lines to the doctor where we can spend that time in praying for someone else or spending time? So I would encourage us to think that it's not a leisure time and it's not a luxury time of taking care of your body. It's a ministry time, it's a worship time, it's a time to pray, it's a time to sing, it's a time to glorify God with the abilities He gave you to run or jump or walk or pull or push. And just this is a time where you meet with God and when you meet with yourself. Make sure it's on your schedule as any Zoom that you must have or any meeting you must attend. And as you live this, that will overflow, and the overflow will attract others. And what attracts others will spread, and that will become an evident in your life, in people's life, and it will pull them toward you as a magnet. So my challenge is get on a journey to optimal health and stay true to it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate your tenacity. I know that when you say the word total fit, that represents thousands of hours that you've invested with other people, building collaborative teams to be able to amass all of the tools that you've done. So I'm so appreciative of your tenacity to get that done and the gift it is. I know that as we look now and in the future, there are going to be a lot of disciple makers who are able to utilize this to support themselves and continue, coaching generations of churches and disciples, as the Great Commission continues to get fulfilled. So you create a great tool, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All for God's glory.
Yeah. And thanks for being here today on Movement Conversations. I know that this is going to be one of the popular ones, or maybe for some of us unpopular. As we understand that we belong in the 87% and not the 13%, and it's true. It's like I think in many ways the population of the whole movement world tends to be an aging population, and we need to pay attention, to our health now, far more than we did, when we were younger, because the idea of staying alive and actually being alive, not just breathing, but being alive and being able to move and engage, is vitally important to extend the wisdom that God has given us in this age. So thanks so much for this time and for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy. And I look forward to have another workout with you because you're the inspiration. Seeing you doing those lunges and push-ups, I thought, man, he is a machine. And if he continue to do that, he will be here for the next 60 years. And that's what we need. We need you, Roy, here for the next 60 years, full of energy and full of strength. And yeah, so once we finish this, make sure you do your 10 lunges and push-ups and repeat this 10 times.
Those lunges are brutal, man. I'm telling you. So, well, I'll look forward to not in the not too distant future. We'll be together, probably on a beach, and be able to do one of those workouts. So, I'm going to work on my
Let's
lunges,
go.
man. So, all right, brother. We'll see you, man.
All right.
All right, thanks for
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on Movement Conversations, a podcast powered by New Generations. If you're looking for more information on New Generations, you can go to newgenerations.org. There you'll find information on ending scripture poverty or engagement to movement or any of the other strategic initiatives that we have attempting to fulfill the Great Commission in our lifetime. If you happen to be in North America, you can go to newgenerations.us or newgenerations.ca and find out about things like the Habits course, a course for helping learn to become a multiplying disciple. And there you can join other men and women in North America who are attempting to build these strategic communities to fulfill the Great Commission through disciple making that replicates through their social networks. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed our podcast. Look forward to when we drop a next one and having you with us.